Today on the web you can find a lot of guides on how to get rid of throttling on the brand new M2 MacBook Air. With their help you can easily fix the heat dissipation of Apple's new powerful processors, allowing you to achieve better performance than the MacBook Pro.
Holy moly.
But even though it works, some of these efforts do more harm than good. Today we'll analyze this in detail and you will learn how to correctly and most importantly safely get rid of throttling and improve the performance of your MacBook. Back in 2020, after the release of the M1 MacBook Air, people experienced disturbingly high temperatures on their Macs. Back then it seemed like this hidden issue adversely affected the performance of the laptop because the newest Air models aren't equipped with an active cooling system. Life with a lagging laptop was grim for the MacBook Air users when suddenly the YouTube channel Linus Tech Tips released a video on February 3rd, 2021. A single beam of light appeared at the end of the tunnel of heating and throttling. Linus shared a tip on how to increase the performance of the M1 Air using a thermal pad glued to the SoC M1 system. This engineering solution should allow you to transfer heat from the processor and the hottest components to the back of the MacBook case, which will distribute the heat of the processor better, as a result of which the M1 should have less throttling. And it would have been splendid news if not for one extremely serious oversight, but more on that later. And I must say that I don't mean to undermine the content of any creators. They did a great job, a great value for the community. I'm just trying to understand this issue in a little more detail and give you my perspective on this. And what could possibly go wrong? A hot processor in the new MacBooks without active cooling gives off a lot of heat, which is concentrated more or less in one spot, not allowing the M1 to work without resetting the frequency, otherwise it will simply overheat and burn out. The performance would actually get better, except science doesn't tolerate mistakes.
Ah, gravity, thou art a heartless bitch.
And now, with the release of the M2 MacBook Air and Pro, history is repeating itself. Yes, M2 resets frequencies, which I personally reiterated many times in my videos. Yes, the M2 is heating up again, only here even more so than in the M1, and no passive cooling is not enough to perform resource-intensive tasks. So now another video pops up, only this time on the Max Tech channel, wherein they conducted all the necessary tests and proved that the thermal pad life hack works as well on the new model. And they did an amazing job with this test, but you might think, well, I can buy a MacBook Air, stick some DIY craft supplies inside, and the Air laptop will turn into a Pro. I don't mean to disappoint you, but I'm afraid you will be shocked by what you're about to see. Let's take a look at the previous case, M1 Air. At that time in Cinebench, the M1 Air scored 7,527 points, the M1 Pro 7,696 points, and the modded M1 Air 7,795 points. Looks great. It's enough to glue this magic sticker inside of your Mac and it bypasses the Pro model in terms of performance. However, looking at these tests back in 2021, armed with logic, I asked myself a simple question. How could they not consider this when developing the new models? Perhaps this helps the system to cool down, but Apple engineers are not complete idiots. The answer was hiding in plain sight, and to be honest, I was shocked. Of course, I will show you the results, but for now, take a look at the insides of the MacBook. Does anything catch your eye? Well, here are at least 3 details. These, my friends, are lithium polymer batteries, which in conjunction with all the other hardware allow the MacBook to work without being connected to power. And it just so happened that this very battery famously does not enjoy high temperatures. Do you get what I'm getting at? Back then, Linus showed that in this area without modding, the temperature rises and performance is lost. But unfortunately, if you look at where the heat from this hot corner spreads, you will see that the heat swallows the battery. These 2 blocks and these 2 blocks are the first to suffer. Here is a simple example for you. When I measured the temperature of the lid without modding in the most reasonable of benchmarks, the temperature of the cover did not exceed 40 degrees Celsius. 40 degrees is not a critical temperature, as it doesn't affect the deterioration of the battery in any way, and you can quite easily live with it. But when we inserted a thermal pad and measured the temperature of the lid in the same stress test, the temperature rose to 50 degrees. Sometimes it reached to 51 to 52 degrees Celsius. And I'm talking about the lid, of course. The lithium polymer battery can withstand up to 46 degrees Celsius if the temperature rises above you're through. And yes, you guessed it, during the test, the sensors on the battery showed values very close to dangerous. 45 degrees on average when the temperature began to rise to 45.3 to 45.5. I had to stop the test because it could lead to dire consequences. And if before the upgrade the temperature did not rise above 37 degrees, then I'm sorry, but 45 degrees with an extra step is no good at all. So my suspicions were confirmed. The metal lid on the MacBook transfers heat to the rest of the components competently, putting these components closer to death. This is essentially an emergency situation because by transferring the heat through a thermal pad up to the lid heats up and wow, who would have thought? Transfers heat not only outside but also back inside. And given that there are literally no air outlets in the air modification, your MacBook turns into a real Hell's Kitchen. The lid will heat absolutely all components, all blocks, chips, and magnets. And if you look at the sensors of the rest of the components, you will notice that in addition to performance, the other values of most components increase as well. Maybe some more than others, but one way or another, only one conclusion can be drawn here. This is not good, and especially for the battery. When the battery temperature passes the limit of 50 degrees, it rapidly begins to collapse. So why make the situation worse? If you use your MacBook with this thermal pad for a month, then judging by its inside state alone, it will look more or less like a year-old laptop. And these are not exact figures, of course. Perhaps the wear and tear of the components will be less. I'm just giving you an example to make the situation clear. Well, I don't know what to tell you guys. It looks like they didn't hire fools at Apple who could allow high processor temperatures and throttling instead of a longer life of your laptop. And of course, in everyday use, your Mac shouldn't reach a performance level so high that you have to stick a thermal pad in it. But then, why am I here making a big deal out of it? Well, because those who want to glue this very magic sticker on components wish to increase their laptop's performance, which means they really do need that additional power. Or am I wrong? Let me know in the comments. And these tips are making a comeback 2 years later with the release of the M2. Impressive results in the benchmarks again and again. The M2 MacBook Air with the tuning outperforms even the Pro model with active cooling. But what's the difference? A few points and seconds for the sake of undeniably faster waning of its components? And another thing is that all these adjustments are on you. If for some reason something unforeseen happens to your MacBook, I hope not, but even if it has nothing to do with the battery, when you decide to return your MacBook under warranty, Apple's serviceman will see whether there was any intervention on your part and with a 99% probability return it back to you. You know, in case you glued some garbage inside of it. Also, if you're buying a pre-owned M2 and especially the M1 model, you should pay extra attention to the battery temperatures or go even further and see if there is a thermal pad glued inside. Fortunately, the M2 Air situation has settled down and people haven't really been forcing this modification with the new M2. And now I'll give you an ultimate life hack for all my craftsmen and all those who wish to reduce the heat on their laptops, thereby reducing the likelihood of throttling and increasing performance. So, listen up. The market has long been flooded with various laptop cooling pads. They are often extremely cheap and always have what? That's right, fans. Fans which are known to cool your laptop down in an active way. Yes, although it looks less aesthetically pleasing than a minimalistic side of a Mac placed on a table without any additional accessories, it's much safer than taking a laptop apart and tampering with components. Of course, I didn't try any such tamperings with my new M2 MacBook Air, and I insist you do the same. To be honest, it's a bit strange, you know, to buy a laptop for $1,200 or over in some cases, and then get inside of it, disassemble, and then tinker, temper, and essentially mess with it for no good reason. And I want to stress this point again. I don't dislike or wish to put down or criticize any particular creator or YouTuber. As a fun DIY experiment, this certainly looks cool for the content on YouTube. But I would add a warning about the potential harm to the hardware. And in the meantime, smash the like button if this video was helpful to you. Go ahead and click on this video and this one, and see you in the next one.